What's up, folks, and welcome to a Backyard Sports presentation of the NBA Finals. This isn't your average Backyard Blitz episode because we have no Raul Herrera. Tear emoji. We're sad. We're going to give you a little bit of fire and ice. You haven't seen it in a long time. I'm obviously fire because I'm Flint, and with me I have ice. Gary Freeze. What's up, man?
I'm doing well. Trying to recover from all the events of the finals. It was interesting. A lot of ripple effects. So we'll save that for a later episode. But
right, so we have some gems that hint to the off season that we don't want to necessarily spoil tonight. I have to open with a non-basketball and non-sports related story real fast. I'm going to tell you guys that a couple of weeks ago, I was hanging out with my wife. She wanted to go get a coffee in the morning on our Saturday. We have a little adventure on Saturdays. It's great. Touch base. If you don't do that with your wife or your significant other, you ain't shit. Start doing that. So we go out. We go to Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts, if you don't know, is a special establishment. My local Dunkin' Donuts, I'm in there so much they hook me up. So shout out to you girls. But we get Dunkin' Donuts. She decides she wants to get a manicure. And long story short, we go into the place, and these little Asian women, no offense, they're very nice. They don't speak English. They understand me. I don't understand them. But I get talked into a chair. This is a comfy chair, okay? A very comfortable chair. They immediately throw on the Sports Center. My feet are in some bubbling water. And listen, I'm going to tell you guys, especially if you work hard and you're on your feet, get a fucking pedicure. And don't judge somebody who gets a pedicure.
You're a pedicure advocate now.
But I had a pedicure, and I'm going back. And that is the thing. Like, she asked me if I wanted to color, and I was like, come again? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, a color? Oh, no, I don't want my nails painted. But I'll come back. She scrubbed. She had the thing. Listen, I wear boots 6 months out of the year. I work on hard concrete floors 12 months out of the year. And that ain't even an excuse. Like, I wish I knew this shit when I was 20. I'm 35 years old. I wish I knew this shit when I was 20. Boys, get a pedicure. Don't let your fucking masculinity hide you because it's bullshit. Get a pedicure. Gary, you ever had a pedicure?
I haven't. I've heard people. I've heard people sing the praises of pedicures. I just haven't gone. I don't know, something about people touching my feet and stuff, but I do a lot of walking now on my commute, and most of it's on concrete. So
I get if you got a foot problem. If people out there, guys who have a foot problem, that's fine. Some people don't like their feet being touched, but if you think it's because it makes you gay, listen. Look at this beard.
Ain't that reason.
It doesn't make you gay. My beard is still here, but
right.
So besides the point, I just wanted to give the PSA out. Raul and his Texan ways, he's fucking shooting shotguns right now, bitching about me. Oh, he hates it. But so the NBA Finals happened. The Toronto Raptors won in 6 games over the Golden State Warriors. For some people, it sucks because it's the end of an era. Essentially, for the Warriors, have been dominating. For others, it's like a breath of fresh air because there's a little parity. I'm one of those people who I respect the shit out of the Warriors, but I love the parody. So we had Raul. We'll go right into our predictions. Raul had he had the Raptors in 7 games. Gary had the Warriors in 6 games. I happen to be. I'm not even going to brag because it is what it is. But the lucky chicken dinner winner motherfucker. I picked the Raptors in 6 games.
We'll give you
I don't even want to brag because I think that like what I did in that, and I think I said it in the show, is I went against what normal convention would be to pick against the home team, especially a home team who's a championship team. I just I personally in other shows on other podcasts I picked so many times against the Raptors because I didn't trust them at home. And I know one year I picked the Wizards to beat them at home because I didn't trust them at home, and it happened. The Cavs beat them at home. They swept them. It's just the Raptors earned it this year with Kawhi Leonard, and So we're going to break into that a little bit. Gary, what was your overall takeaway from that series? Minus the injuries, minus the bullshit, like the two teams toe to toe. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest takeaway is that the Raptors did what they should have done. I think a lot of people underestimated them, myself included. We did our NBA preview show, and you picked them as your dark horse one to contend in the East, but you also picked them as NBA champion, or your dark horse as NBA champion, and I kind of scoffed at the idea of that. I didn't know how much to value exactly what Kawhi was going to bring to that particular team. The moves they made at the deadline were huge, and the players, Gasol especially, was a big factor in the series. Masai Ujiri, who apparently assaulted a police officer, but we'll talk about that another day. And the Wizards are apparently willing to sell the farm to get him. And it'd be a smart move on their part. But he put together a team that took care of business. We can set aside the injuries all we want, but they were a factor in a team like the Raptors that came out of the East, playing against a team that was for 2 games missing, essentially 2 games missing 2 of the 15 maybe best players in the league. You should take care of business against that team, and they did. And all respect to them. My biggest takeaway is the fact that the Raptors did what they should have done in that scenario, and despite I continued to think, man, they're just these injuries can't keep piling up. They can't keep piling up. And I kept picking the Warriors. I doubled down on my Warriors pick, and it backfired in my face. And and the Raptors, they've asserted themselves. Kawhi Leonard has to be in the discussion for best player in the league, and it can't just be a victim of the moment thing. The guy is an animal on both ends of the floor. And I hear a lot of analysts right now talking about how many NBA players say he is a problem to deal with on both ends because of how physical and aggressive he is. So props to the Raptors. They took care of business.
So I think for me to start, my biggest thing is I did pick Toronto to win the East. I believe I said I thought Toronto and Golden State would meet in the finals, and I picked Golden State. I think to me, more than anything else, is I think Golden State showed me something, which is weird. I'm going to sing Toronto praises in a second, but I think you can say what you will about Durant's play taking away from the Splash Brothers, and I call it bullshit. I think that no matter what, the Golden State Warriors and the Splash Brothers are better with Kevin Durant. You can talk all you want. You can say whatever you will. You're wrong. You're crazy. You're an asshole. That team is better with Kevin Durant. That team is better with Steph Curry. That team is better with Klay Thompson. Those guys firing on all cylinders. Draymond Green, too. I mean, let's shout out Draymond Green. To me, I think that series, more so than anything, really gave me more confidence in Golden State's ability, because Toronto, as much as I've said to friends and family and on the show that Toronto was kind of Golden State's kryptonite. We've seen Portland, we've seen Houston, namely. Those two teams try to duplicate what Golden State has done and try to beat them that way, and you can't because you don't have Steph and Klay and you don't have Durant, certainly. But what Toronto has done is they've assembled a long, athletic defensive team, and that really, to me, is Golden State's kryptonite. But at the end of the day, they probably don't win that series if Golden State's healthy. And that, to me, is the telltale thing of this series. I talked about not going into the injury, and I won't go into the personal injuries that much, but I do want to sing Golden State's praises. I do want to sing Toronto's praises, however. Kawhi Leonard, I agree with you. I think Kawhi Leonard at this point is ready to be talked about. It's the greatest player in the NBA. Some people are already talking about him being the greatest finals player. I think it might be a tad bit early for that, but he's a machine.
It's hard to argue, though. God, man,
let it marinate, though.
I don't think it's too much of an overreaction, though.
Well, it's not too much.
It might be too soon, but it isn't too much of an overreaction. That dude is a fucking animal.
It's too soon. It was too soon. Listen, it was too soon to call Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time, 4 years ago. It was too soon. Like, it was one of those things that we could see as an inevitable
Everybody
conclusion.
wants to be the person that is first to say it.
Right. And they will be the people at the top of the mountain shouting, "I was fucking right the whole time." But I will never be the type of person who's like trapped and be a prisoner of the moment. And I love Kawhi Leonard. I saw him leaking antifreeze all series. Dude's phenomenal. Like, I mean, get it, man. I hope he stays in Toronto. But so let's talk about the injuries real fast. Gary, what do you think? Obviously, the injuries were crazy, but what do you think the Klay Thompson and namely the Kevin Durant injury? We'll talk Calvin Looney too, because you and I, we talked the Calvin Looney injury was huge. What do you think these injuries overall, like, where was their impact?
I think the biggest thing was with Durant's injury, the biggest impact was the fact that late in games, they couldn't just give him the ball and say, go get a bucket. The guy's automatic when you get him the ball 12 to 15 feet from the hoop and he's one-on-one. You know, that made a difference in a couple of the games late. The Klay Thompson one, I think, to me, in the end, with all awareness that 2020 or hindsight is 2020, I think the Klay Thompson injury was actually bigger, because I think if Klay Thompson's healthy throughout this series, the Warriors still win. And we saw Toronto go to the box and one a couple of times when Klay went out, and they couldn't do that. And I got the feeling at times that Golden State was really feeling themselves when Klay and Steph were both on the floor. And game 4, I mean, we saw Steph went just bananas without Klay, and they still couldn't win because they couldn't make any stops on the other end of the floor. So Klay Thompson's defense was the biggest impact. And Looney, we talked about it, and I think we're both kind of in lockstep on where Looney's is the fact that they couldn't switch big men. They couldn't switch big men the way that they, you know, that defense, the defense that they play is predicated on being able to switch big men between Draymond, Iggy, Durant, if he's healthy, and Looney. And with Boogie on the floor, they just had a liability that they couldn't switch, and he wasn't fully healthy. You know, that's another injury that a lot of people tend to forget about. He wasn't healthy in the finals either. So Looney really hurt them on the defensive end where they couldn't switch big men, and they got caught in a lot of mismatches.
Right, and I still think, to me, it comes down. I love Klay Thompson. You've heard me a million times, Gary, personally. Klay Thompson's my favorite Warrior, one of my favorite players in the league. I do, however, believe that it boils down more to Kevin Durant, simply because Klay and Steph can give you what Klay and Steph can give you, and what they've given you before Durant. I think we saw it. Like, Steph, some games just was fucking willing these guys, and Klay the same way before he was injured, just willing this team into it. Durant, to me, gives you that other dynamic of where you can not only play a great offensive game, but you can wear down. And we talked about this too, wearing down the opponents. If you give Kawhi Leonard and you give Pascal Siakam, who had a very good closeout game, if you get in a very good opening game, if you give these guys the misfortune of having the guard, Kevin Durant, I think that hurts their offense in turn, right? We talked about this a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. That responsibility on that end for one of the greatest scorers maybe the best pure scorer in the history of the game at 7 foot, just being able to get that shot off and not be bothered by most defenders. Yeah, I mean, you're in trouble, you know, defensively trying to cover that, and then you got to try to have the energy on the other end. And you mentioned Klay, and I just want to kind of interject real quick on that. Klay was having an historic game before he tore his ACL. That dude was just bonkers in that game, and they were well on their way to forcing a game 7 before he tore his ACL. And you know, I hope for a speedy recovery for both of them. We're probably going to lose them both for a full season, but yeah, you know, that end of the floor, you can really impact the defensive end for, you know, both Klay and KD, but KD especially trying to cover him.
Right. I just remember, I think back to a couple years ago in the finals. It's crazy too, because I was sitting in a fucking hospital bed, and I watched KD just come down and just gracefully nail that fucking three. That ill-advised, no, yes, pull up three in LeBron's fucking face. And, listen, no knack on LeBron. LeBron did a great job defending. Nothing you can do. KD is too good. He's too tall. He's too long.
He's got a quick release, too. He's 7 foot.
It's Ray Allen and Dirk Nowitzki mixed together.
It really,
like, you can't guard that shot. So, I just, to me, it's too bad for the Warriors. At the same time, I'm not upset because I love the parity. I'm happy for the Raptors. I hope that they can re-sign Kawhi Leonard. I'm happy for Kyle Lowry, for the guys who have been there. The Fred VanVleets, these guys. It's nice to see. Their fans were a bunch of dickheads, but I
was
listen.
Severely
disappointed. I'm not gonna hold the players to the fans.
No,
because if I did that, then fuck almost every team in the world. But
right.
I think those players deserve it. There's a lot of guys. Serge Ibaka's been floating around for years. Marc Gasol. Great to see these guys win a championship. Great for Canada. I love it for the reach of the NBA. Toronto fans, fucking, it's not all of you, but get better.
One city ruined the reputation of an entire country.
Right, you guys are nice. You guys drink maple syrup and your heads slap together. Be fucking nice, man.
Right.
Fuck, you guys don't even know how to pass judgment. Your fucking heads don't even fucking close
Shots
together.
fired at the parade too.
Bunch of bullshit, man. Hey, Toronto fans, quit fucking the fuck. Listen, I was in Toronto once, and I got a couple guys who can corroborate the story. But there was a dude with stilts on, dressed as Uncle Sam, and he accosted the fuck out of us. I don't even know how he knew we were Americans, but he was like, with a megaphone, the Americans are jaywalking. The Americans are he was being a dickhead. And I was like, dude, shh. Calm the fuck down, dude. That's how I knew Canadians were assholes. And you guys can hide behind your A and, we didn't know and shit. Your Mounties, your maple syrup, your poutine. Fuck you guys. So you guys are not nice. You guys are a bunch of assholes. We got your number, Philly. I mean, Toronto. Philly, Toronto, same thing. Philly's in Canada, right?
I think so.
Might as well fucking be. So
seems that way. Yeah.
That one dude's gonna get real offended too. Fuck you, Philly. Fucking jerks. You threw ice balls at Santa, assholes. So we'll bounce right into. Let's bounce right first into where does Golden State fucking go here? Because obviously, it would be real nice to say, okay, so Durant's hurt, so they re-sign Clay, whatever. So, Gary, where the fuck because we're going to talk real quick. So, they've got Clay to re-sign. Durant's got the 31 million option. No Boogie. He's gone. I would assume. Bell's a free agent. Cook's a free agent. Your dog's being fucking hostile. Put it on a leash. ASPC, we're calling them. So you got Cook, Bell, Looney, Boogie, Clay, and there's someone else. I don't remember. But
Livingston, I believe they're going to opt out of.
So we're talking, that heart and soul, that fire of Golden State on top of Clay and Durant. So what do you think they do?
Yeah, I mean, they've got to keep a couple of their own. I assume probably Looney and Bell probably be re-signed. I think they're kind of versatile players that fit that scheme, that fit what they want to do. I think you'll see a few of them stay, but man, the big thing is going to be whether KD actually opts out. Because if he doesn't opt out, they're cash strapped, and they really don't have a lot of room to maneuver. The best thing for Golden State, kind of taking loyalties and whatnot aside, would be for him to opt out and go, Knicks, if you want to put him there, and rehab for a year and whatnot, and look at the future with another team. Because if he opts in, I think Golden State's essentially hoping to grasp at a 7 or 8 seed, and then maybe Clay gets healthy and they can make a run in the playoffs. That's kind of where they're at. But if KD opts out, I could see them really pushing hard and bringing in a third superstar again. I've kind of been batting things back and forth in my head about who might be a good fit. I mean, I'd love for the media clicks if they could convince Kawhi to go there. That'd be fun. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But it'd be fun. It'd be fun if they did. But, somebody like Jimmy Butler might go there and be a good fit. He's a shooter who can play defense. He's a two-way guard, and they're losing that with Clay. And, the style of play they play, they could interchange those when Clay comes back. If they do sign Jimmy to like a long-term deal or something, they could play the 2 and the 3 and be, swing guard forward. I think they're in a really tough spot, and it's hard to predict. It really hamstrings them that 2 superstars went down. And I think they have to re-sign Clay. I think they have to. That's my stance on that. You can't let him out the door. He's proven how valuable he is to that team. So I think they re-sign him. They re-sign a couple of their guys. Draymond probably gets his money, and maybe they can swing a guy like Jimmy Butler. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Boogie come back on kind of a 2-year, maybe a 1+1 or something like that, with a little more money than he signed for this time, but maybe not near that 20 to 30 mil he was going to get before he joined Golden State, before the Achilles injury. So
Boogie's gone. Boogie doesn't match that team. As hard as it is to not fit in with that team.
Before you, sorry to interrupt, but
no, you're good.
Before his Achilles injury, would you have said the same thing about him not fitting that style?
Well, listen, I wouldn't have said that thing about any player, but no. To answer your question, no. And I don't think, but listen, hear me out. I don't think he
ever gets back to where he was.
I don't think it has anything to do with his injury. I just don't think he fits that team. And it's weird to say because I think almost anybody fits that style. I just think Boogie. Here's my thing. I love Boogie. You know this. I think it takes a very special style to make Boogie fit. I don't know what that style is. And I'm going to be frank, I don't know if that style is winning. But I think that it takes.
I was just going to ask, do you think he's forever going to be the guy that never won a championship?
I fucking hope not, man. But there's a lot of those, and that's likely. So, I think that Golden State is in a tough position that they've never been in. I don't necessarily think it's a terrible position to be in. KD's injury is a season minimum. Clay's injury, they call 6 months. We've all seen Achilles injuries in NBA players. That's a 2-year injury. It is. It's always a 2-year injury. It's a year to get back. It's a year to be normal. Shout out to Zach Randolph. I think with Clay's situation, it's maybe a little different because he's a jump shooter. Shout out to Clay. He hurt himself on a dunk. Fucking guy. God damn it. Clay pisses me off. I'm so disappointed. It's like my kid. But I think best case scenario, this is what Golden State needs to do. If you're asking me, here, I'm the GM, the guy with the fucking flamingo shirt. KD, you pick up the option. I think he does either way. Golden State, you sign Clay to a long-term deal. You wait out the year.
Well, you think KD's going to pick up his player option?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I listen. I do think that teams may offer him. I think there's a few teams out there that may offer him a contract despite the injury because he's KD.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
yeah, this isn't Larry Hughes. This isn't Larry Hughes. So
right.
somebody's going to offer him a deal. But I have a feeling KD picks up the option. Clay, give him the long-term deal. Even if KD doesn't pick up the option, give Clay the long-term deal. You know what? Don't make playoffs next year or be like the 7 or 8 seed. I don't even give a shit. You don't have to. Steph Curry's not 37 years old.
On an island. They should hide him on an island and just be like, listen,
just
we're
play.
Taking this year off.
Just play. He's not 37 years old. You're fine. It's not LeBron. This isn't that kind of a situation. You have a year to give up. You can fucking throw away a year. You can re-sign the players that matter. Those glue guys, Cook. You can re-sign Looney. You can re-sign Bell. You can re-sign Livingston. You can get these guys intact. You can regroup and go into next year, dude. Listen, What does 2019, 2020 matter? What does it matter? What does it matter?
It doesn't.
Have you not won any championships?
Right. They've already got 3. You might as well get healthy and retool and
gain
go
up to
3
4.
more.
Gain up to 4 at least.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fuck 1 year. Give up another. Well, you essentially be giving up 2 years, but because you already lost this year. But give up another year. Go. Keep Steph healthy. Do it, right? Am I wrong?
No, I mean, you're right. I think if KD opts in, that's probably their best approach. Sit Clay down, and I mean, unless you get to the playoffs and he's absolutely positively 110% ready to play, you don't even bother. But I'm with you. I don't think he's gonna be. But
give another year to fucking.
Otherwise, you don't bother.
And you can work on KD for a year. You lose Draymond definitely. You lose Draymond definitely after the year.
Yeah, in that scenario, Draymond's gone.
Yeah, right. I mean, you probably waste a year Draymond. So here's the thing: you trade Draymond. Is that out of the question?
No. Do you think they would though? I mean, maybe a sign and trade.
What?
Maybe a sign and trade.
Draymond has the most interesting value in the NBA.
He does.
Because
does he fit in other schemes?
If you're Golden State, if you're Portland, if you're current Houston, there's other teams too. If you're those teams, Draymond's a max player.
Oh,
if you're the Knicks, he's not a max player.
You gonna bring D'Antoni back?
He can't do those things. He has to play.
Yeah.
Within a.
He's not a traditional
system.
player. He has to fit in that run and gun.
Right, but in that system,
sure.
He's a max player.
Absolutely.
He is.
Absolutely.
And nobody who knows basketball would argue with that. In that tradition, in that system that fits Draymond, he's a max player. But outside that system, his money
mid-level exception guy
falls. I'm going to be a little nicer than that, but his money drops, man. It's like fucking, you just invested with fucking Madoff and your shit's gone. Like I don't. So let's get on to Toronto. What's Toronto do? Because Toronto obviously has questions. Kawhi Leonard is obviously the biggest of those questions. But like Toronto seems like that team, like I've talked about it. I think that they're the kryptonite to those Golden State type teams. They're long, they're defensive. They brought in Gasol late. They brought in Kawhi Leonard in the offseason. We've never seen this. We've never seen a team do this before.
They gambled and won.
Right, but you gambled on a top 5 player with the best bench in the league, a good point guard. You grabbed a great center. Pascal Siakam had a breakout year. It's a luxury to bring Serge Ibaka off the bench. So what does this team do from here, Gary? Where do they go? Like what's the step?
First things first, they've got to be knocking on Kawhi's door every day. I think if he came back on like a 1-1, give him. I think he can get like 31 or 32 for a single season, and then you give him a player option for the following year. You offer him that, and if he doesn't take it, then obviously he never really wanted to be there. I don't know what they do if he leaves. That's the thing. We can talk about how long the bench is, how long the lineup is, but there's nobody there that's currently constituted that I think you build around. And I think Kyle Lowry has kind of proven that he's not the guy you build around. He's Robin to whoever wants to be Batman in Toronto. And I don't know if they can entice a free agent even after winning the championship. I don't know if Toronto is a desirable destination. It's kind of one of those things where geography really screws them, because I think it's a great basketball city. I think that the city of Toronto embraces that team, and the entire country of Canada embraces that team because it's the only team up there. I just don't think it's a desirable city, and I hate to think that the Raptors are going to go from a title to like middle of the pack for the next 4 or 5 years, because they did give up some capital with the Kawhi acquisition, but man, they got their championship. They won the gamble, and I do feel like Kawhi is leaving, but they should absolutely be begging, borrowing, and stealing, trying to get him to stay there, because if they can get him and they can preserve some of that depth, I think they have a chance to repeat, because as you've alluded to a few times tonight, they are the kryptonite to these jump shooting teams, because nothing bothers jump shooters more than length, and they've got an abundance of length and guys that can guard multiple positions. So if they can keep Kawhi, I think that they have a chance to go back to back. I just don't think it's going to happen, and I feel like Toronto is going to be a team that we're going to see selling next year at the deadline. Is what I think, and they're going to retool. They're going to have to try to rebuild through draft or tanking or whatever you want to call it. So
I've thought this out hard, Gary. I've really thought this out. Kawhi Leonard, he's staying put, and I think it's going to be a LeBron.
I would like to see it, just to put it out there. I'd like to see him stay. I just don't think he's going to.
I think he is. I think it's a LeBron type move, like a 1-and-1. I think he stays with the 1 and the 1 year option. I think, and I said this before, if they reach the conference finals, I thought Kawhi had to stay. No brainer, right? I mean, conference finals in the East, no LeBron James, you fucking stay put. So to me,
the
finals
East is ripe for the picking.
Right. The finals, you stay there. They've got this fucking team that is good. They're lengthy. They can shoot. And here's the thing we didn't talk about. Like, that not only is that team lengthy and they can shoot the ball, they're tough. They're fucking tough, dude. Fred VanVleet's tough. You said they can switch anything. They can't switch. Kyle Lowry can switch onto a small forward.
He can guard 3 positions.
He's a bulldog. Like,
yep.
that team, Fred VanVleet, we saw him with the fucking blood on his face. That team is a bulldog team. That team is the Grizzlies team that Marc Gasol was on, with a legit shooting repertoire, which the Grizzlies never had, because they didn't need it then. It wasn't to that point.
Different style. Yeah.
And a star player, Kawhi Leonard. They didn't have that either. They had like a Rudy Gay who couldn't create his own shot. They had Zach Randolph, who was awesome, but wasn't like a superstar. They had Marc Gasol, they had Tony Allen, they had Mike Conley. They had Kyle Lowry before that, actually, too. But this Toronto team, I have high hopes for them. Like, I hope it happens. I think Kawhi stays, because if he doesn't, he's crazier than his fucking laugh.
Why would he want to go to the West after just dominating the East?
Listen, you brought up a good point. You said this. The Clippers are like a poised team to have a Kawhi Leonard, and they are. But to me, when I calculate and I look in my head and I look at the numbers, are the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard better than the Raptors with Kawhi Leonard? And it's no. To me, it's no. I don't think so.
No, and I think, if he moves to the West, he's joining the conference with, everybody's loading up in the West, and you still have the Warriors, and you don't know what they're going to do in free agency.
Right.
And even the Lakers just traded for AD. And
that roster is great, and it's hopeful, and they play hard, and they're they do all the gritty shit, but you already have that.
Yeah, and why would you go to an unknown when you know what you've got in Toronto, and the East is yours to win, really? Because Milwaukee Milwaukee was the best team in terms of the regular season record and yada yada yada, but they've got a lot of concerns with players they've got to re-sign, and 2, they shat the bed in the playoffs to where you saw Giannis's weaknesses get exposed. They made him try to make plays with the ball in traffic. They dared his teammates to beat him. Nick Nurse, nobody knew who the fuck he was to start the season, but man, he had a good playoff run.
And nobody knew what he was doing in the playoffs.
Good-ass playoff run.
Well, we didn't even know what he was doing. He was doing some dumb shit still, and we're still fucking singing his praises.
Yeah.
He called bad timeout.
That dumbass.
Listen,
that was the worst timeout I think I've ever seen a coach call.
He wore a fucking sofa as a suit. The fuck is this guy doing? I was laughing my ass off. I was like, this dude's going to get into the finals? And he did. And they fucking won, dude. Holy shit, dude. I don't even know what to say. Like, if you've seen Nick Nurse's tree, we're going to post it on the page. I'm going to post it because I saw it yesterday. If you've seen his coaching tree, like, you're going to be
was
You're gonna be
coaching a
fucked.
fucking like third-tier basketball team in London like 8 months ago.
Bud, like, listen, when they fired Dwayne
Crazy.
Casey,
I thought they
were
were fucking bananas.
Listen, here it is, guys, fans listening out there. Gary already knows this, so I'm not telling him shit. I'm telling you guys, once in a while, you can be a very good or even a great coach, and when you get stuck, you get fired. Doesn't matter if it's your fault or LeBron's fault or whoever's fault. You get stuck. You get stuck. No, you do.
You
get
do,
stuck.
for sure.
Dwayne Casey did a fucking phenomenal job. He's a great coach. He got stuck, and it really wasn't even his fault. Listen, to me, Nick Nurse is not a better coach than Dwayne Casey.
No.
I think Dwayne Casey would have won the finals the same this year.
Nick Nurse has the fortunate
There's no LeBron
timing of LeBron James leaving the year he started coaching.
And that's no disrespect to Nick Nurse because
Not
I
at
like
all.
what he did, but I'm just props to Dwayne Casey. So let's
Yep.
get the salute to service, Gary. I know you got it.
All right. Yeah. Tonight's salute to service goes out to specialist Miguel Holmes, died May 6, 2019, serving Operation Freedom Sentinel. Holmes is from Hinesville, Georgia. Died of wounds suffered in a non-combat incident in Nangarhar Province, Afghanistan. He was with 1st Battalion, 118th Field Artillery Regiment, 48th Infantry Brigade Combat Team out of Savannah, Georgia. The cause of death is currently under investigation. To his family, I hope there's closure on the investigation. We have the watch.
So, we're deeply saddened that Raul couldn't be with us tonight. He had a situation. The situation involved the maxi pad. Oh, you letting him off? Okay, parenting.
Parenting. Yeah.
So we're gonna get back soon. I think. I don't know if Raul's gonna be in on this. I hope so. We want to do the off season, the coming up NBA shit.
God, there's so much to talk about.
There is. So we've touched a little bit with the Kawhi Leonard situation. Obviously, before we go, we'd be remiss to not mention the fact that Anthony Davis has joined the Lakers since then for Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and
tune in for that too because we've got some disagreement on that.
Right.
That could get interesting.
We do, and a slew of first-round picks. 3 first-round picks, and the Pelicans in true Pelican fashion are
perpetually rebuilding.
Listen, I do love it. So, closing thoughts, Gary. Do the Pelicans draft Zion Williamson?
I think they have to. I think they've been cornered into it. I think the hype is, and you know my feelings about Zion. I don't think he's the best NBA player in this draft. I just think they've been cornered into it. He's the consensus #1 pick, and I think they're going to pick him. I mean, it is what it is. I think it's a mistake, but
listen, I'm gonna tell you a time. There was this one draft where the Pelicans, not the Pelicans, they had
the Hornets at the time, right?
They had the #1 overall pick, and they drafted a lad named Anthony Davis. And I spent a lot of time telling people that I thought that his teammate. This is where you're at right now. So you're thinking Zion Williamson.
I think RJ Barrett's going to be better. NBA
and I spent a lot of time telling people that I thought Michael Kidd-Gilchrist would be a better player than Anthony Davis.
I would have argued against you, though. I will die on the RJ Barrett hill, though. I will because I think he's going to be the best player in this.
Listen, I do. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was a fucking problem, and you people listening, you don't know
a problem
this.
In college.
He was a problem.
He was.
You know what he didn't have? A jump shot.
Exactly.
Kids. I tell you all the time, play
Elbows
baseball.
in.
Play baseball.
Elbows in.
But if you don't play baseball,
get a jump shot.
Learn to shoot a jump shot because Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. I'm not going to say it because I was going to say he's the most talented player, but he's not. Anthony Davis was nuts. He still is.
And MKG was real good though.
He was real good.
He was real good going toward the hoop.
He was awesome. And RJ Barrett is awesome. I'm not going to necessarily make
RJ Barrett can shoot though.
But RJ Barrett
can shoot.
He's a man. Listen, Gary, I don't disagree with you that RJ Barrett is awesome.
Yeah.
And I also think Cam Reddish is awesome.
I think Cam Reddish can have a long career.
I'm the guy standing on the Cam Reddish mountain. I think Cam Reddish is going to be nuts.
Yeah.
But
his style of play fits this NBA.
I do think that Zion Williamson is going to be the best player in the draft.
I think so.
And maybe Morant.
I was gonna say it earlier. I didn't want to go too far. I will go as far as to say that Zion Williamson will be the third best player in this draft.
You said fifth. I got a screenshot.
I probably did say fifth, being real sarcastic and assholeish that day.
I got a screenshot, baby. That's all that matters.
That sounds like me.
Listen, the biggest thing to me with Barrett is why is Barrett on juice? Why has he got big fucking arms, dude?
Yeah,
why is this dude?
He's a monster, man.
Why has he been lifting?
He's a monster. I don't know. He's trying to put weight on for the league, I guess.
Shout out to Klay Thompson and Bradley Beal. You don't got to lift to shoot jump shots, bud.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. He's trying to put weight on for
the
gun show at the draft.
And Nicole Smith, someone. What's he doing? Fuck, man. All right. So, on behalf of myself, Gary Freeze, Raul, who's not here tonight, and we're very sad about that. This is Backyard Sports, not the Backyard Blitz, the Fire and Ice, but I'm still shouting out Raul because it should have been fucking Backyard Blitz. We out of here, kids.